minutes from November 20th.
I move to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes for last meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay, public input.
I've got something.
Okay,
It was brought to my attention this week that, when we're having buildings torn down in town, in the city here, and people have gotten the permits for them, et cetera, I know that we do require the water and sewer to be signed off on or capped or whatnot. But it seems as if, from what I have been told this week, that the city is levying some sort of fee that is somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000 to do this. And it's not just a one-time or one place, that there are multiple places that this has happened. And I just kind of want to know what our policy is there, and if that's accurate, and if so, why are we doing that?
I think, I've had a couple of people call me also, and, they're supposed to, like, if they tear a building down, they're supposed to cap it. But somehow it's gotten brought to where they're responsible to go clear to the curb stop or the main. Why are residents required to dig the main? Do you know?
So I don't wanna necessarily speak for Terry, but,
put that up because I was informed.
Can you
Yeah,
hear me
there you go.
there?
Thank you, yes.
okay. But what Terry was trying to do is we have brand new sewer and water in town. And he doesn't wanna have, like, a house gets tore down and it doesn't get capped. Basically all the dirt sitting there and filling, the sewer, the new sewer. And so I think he's made it now so he won't sign off on it until he physically sees that that's capped. As far as going all the way back to the main, it would just be assumption of mine because he doesn't know what would be getting built in that place. And then you wanna make sure and get it back to where it started. That would just be my assumption, and there again, I'm kinda speaking out of place cause Terry's not here, but I do know he wants to take care of the sewer. Everything's new right now.
Yeah, I understand that completely. I totally agree with that and makes complete sense. But
To go all the way back, I don't,
yeah, and it seems to me as though the city should be in support of removing these dilapidated structures and not levying.
I don't know
A
how,
fee that-
if there's a fee. I think it's up to that person that's getting rid of that building to do that. That's part of it. You got anything to add to that, Shayla? I know you've had conversations with Terry.
I guess I'm not sure where the confusion is, but when that building is down, when they're in there digging that up, if they can just cap it and make sure. I don't know that he wants you digging into the streets and the alleys and tearing up the pavement to cap it. I think he wants you to go to that edge so that once it's capped, we're not gonna charge the base fees or the sewer, surcharges, sorry. If it's not capped, that means that utility is still there, so they need to pay those.
Yeah,
Fees.
I understand that.
And that's,
But
so, that kinda got my brain going. So I think what he's saying is, if you have that utility to your property, you're gonna get charged that, surcharge no matter what. So if you take it all the way back further, I think that's where it eliminates that.
so we're gonna charge surcharges on a line that's shut off at a curb stop or capped?
If it's stubbed over there, yes, there's surcharges on that, I believe. Correct, Shayla?
Because the utilities are at that property.
So basically, they have to rip all the utilities out of there? Because one person said it was $7,000 if they bought a lot. They were told by Terry it was $7,000 If they bought the lot, they were looking at to get rid of what they needed to get rid of. Once they bought that property, if they weren't gonna pay surcharges.
That's the first I've heard that. I don't know where he got
There's
that.
another one that was over 5,000, so, I mean, it's not just a
So, I guess,
one issue, one place.
I guess with this conversation, I'd think you wanna have more conversation with Terry instead of.
Yep,
Yeah,
I think
Sounds like
so.
utilities
Yeah.
commission.
Yep,
I think the utilities committee needs to clarify all of that with Terry
Yep.
and get it clear for our permitting process
and
too.
to see if
Thanks,
there's
Dustin.
actually anything in the book, policy that actually states that.
All it says is it has to be capped off.
Yeah, and one was required to dig up.
Yes. That was my understanding from the phone calls that I got this week.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I don't know.
Okay,
That's the first I've
I
heard
know
of.
there was some frustration because there was some houses that were tore down that were not capped properly.
And I understand that being frustrating. I totally agree with that, that it does need to be done and done well, but
okay,
And I don't know that you'd wanna dig up our streets and go, I mean, if that main's under our street, that's expensive.
yeah,
Go to the property line,
yeah.
but, or to the curb stop if there's a curb stop or whatever, or a clean out in the yard or something. But yeah, I think that would be referred to the utility committee and to Terry
Yeah.
to clarify.
okay.
Okay, and that's the first I've heard of that too with regard to that. All right, so, okay, any other public input?
We've been noticing, there's a car, and I'm sure you've seen it too, that pickup is on blocks. That, you know, we probably need to get that out of here. There's a,
I've been watching for someone to be home and haven't seen anybody.
is there any way you can run down the identification of who owns the pickup in case it's a stolen one and just abandoned?
I can check that, yeah. I mean, I'll be able to get a name.
Go ahead, yeah, go ahead, please.
No, okay.
I'll be able to get a name, and certainly if it was ever reported stolen, which I don't think that it was, I would learn that. I wouldn't necessarily get a phone number.
Yeah,
But yeah, I've been watching it. I know the other guys have talked about it too. Waiting to see someone at home so we can stop, but I don't know what the deal is. They've
Yeah.
disappeared.
I think it was construction workers. They may have left town, I don't know.
I was thinking it was Wind Tower, yeah,
I know that's where the guy that went east.
okay.
it's
It's
just,
gonna snow at any time, so I think we're on the time limit now where if
We
you do
just
not
told-
make contact within a certain,
Yeah.
like, hours time, whether it's
Have you left
48
anything on the
hours.
Windshield or anything like that,
Say that-
requesting, have you left anything on their windshield or anything like that, requesting that they
No, I
contact you?
haven't.
Yeah, then I'd say, we can't take action, we can't tell you anything to do in public input, but I think all of
Yeah.
us would be in support of getting it out of there.
yeah,
I'll
another
take care of
thing
it.
too, we're getting a lot of trailers on the street. We
Trailers
have
and
two right
campers.
across from our house. And for snow removal, that's gonna be not so good to move that out of there.
And if I
Yeah.
remember correctly, I think we do have something in the
We
policy
We do
with
have
regard to
something,
that, yeah.
an
From
ordinance on that.
October to sometime,
Yeah.
that is not permitted.
I think it's
Yeah.
supposed to be done by November. They're supposed to get them off the streets.
Yeah, okay,
There'll be an ad in the paper this week.
okay,
Okay, well, thank
all
you.
right. Another, public input, because I know, Councilman Price would like to add to, and, it's just a big shout out to our Chamber of Commerce and our police department, sheriff's department, fire department and our stores and community for making, Christmas on the Prairie for what it was. I appreciate, our sheriff and chief of police deputizing all the youth in our community so the Grinch could be captured and arrested, so he wouldn't steal Christmas, so.
Oh, cute.
Anyway, so, looked like a lot of people were out having fun and a lot of people up and down the street, so just appreciate, Economic Development, Chamber of Commerce and everybody involved.
They get the Grinch?
He was captured.
He's not ruining Christmas this year, huh?
Got a kick out, we were, sitting in, not takeout, nah, what is it? Hot lunchbox, and all of us, you know, I had my back to the counter, and all of a sudden, a bunch of little kids in their eyes got big, there's the Grinch. Anyway, so, just wanna,
That's
good shout out to those and thank them for good evening, so.
I just got a press release on behalf of the police department. On December 4th, 2023, Miller Police Department was contacted by law enforcement in Kansas that a fugitive was residing in Miller. Deputy Chief Ames received a felony warrant for Jordan Russell Lane Bell. Bond amount was set at $250,000. Jordan Russell Lane Bell is being charged with rape with a child under 14 years of age and aggravated indecent liberties with a child in Ford County, Kansas. Deputy Chief Ames contacted Han County Sheriff Crony to assist in serving this high-profile warrant. Jordan Russell Lane Bell was located at the Dewdrop Inn and was taken into custody without further incident. Miller Police Department would like to thank the Han County Sheriff's Office, Game and Fish and Parks officers for their assistance as well.
Okay,
Very
And
good.
then side note, we're noticing people checking cars on the streets and in driveways, so to the public, lock your doors as much as you can to help out. And the police will be looking out for that as well, but it's kind of hard to catch a split second checking of a doorknob
okay,
or door in a car.
good.
That's kinda hard to do for us that grew up with,
I know. It's off culture, but
Yeah.
locker stuff.
Yeah,
Say, how am I supposed to lock it? The keys are in it.
it's running, I don't want
Yeah.
it.
That's where the spare set's at.
Okay, anything else for public input? Hearing none, we'll go to the department head report, and those, each one of those are on pages 4 through 7. Good, with regard to Dustin, that's, you know, you and your department, and I think the street or others that helped you on the Christmas lights, you did a good job there. Also, those 2 lights you put in down by the school, they look pretty nice. 3 lights, I take that back, 3 lights. They light pretty good too,
Yeah.
a lot much better.
There will be another one directly in front of the armory door, once the armory parking lot is done.
Okay,
So it's still a little dark right
Okay.
there, but they're split evenly throughout the block.
Dustin indicated there'd be another one going in front of the armory door too, so that would be the 4th one.
we were watching Kelloland and they happened to do a picture of Miller Streets and it showed that Christmas tree nice and centered on it. And she goes, oh, I really like those lights. So we got it up for the
Didn't see that.
Kelloland.
Thank you.
Makes the other ones look kinda drab.
You don't see it as
Far
well.
do you go though?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, any questions for Dustin or Ted or Shayla with regard to their reports that they gave? Just want to appreciate everything that they're doing and keeping on top of things that need to be taken care of too, so. In preparation for the upcoming snow, even though tomorrow doesn't gonna seem like it's gonna snow for a while, so anyway. Moving on, Ron had, he must have visited with some of you with regard to the park mower. And it's also in his department head report.
He had it down to those 2 baggers that he was wanting, and the 3-bag option. We got a little more work to empty them, and his plan was to be able to take the mower that's going on and not trade that in and keep that, instead of putting that on his trade rotation that he would normally do. And so that mower would end up being at ballpark, I think he said, and so it's gonna have a longer life around here than most of this stuff would.
Okay,
And it seemed to him to make sense to spend a little more to get the dump hopper. He had mentioned that he had spent less in his budget than what he was allowed to on something else, and I can't remember off the top of my head what it
Oil
was.
truck or something?
Yes,
Yeah, the oil
there it
truck
is. And so this would still fit into his budget.
So he
Okay.
wants to get it yet this year?
That was my understanding.
That was my understanding.
Okay?
Cause the oil truck was in on this year, right, Jayla? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It just happened to be the deal that he was looking for and the item that was purchased, so.
I think we had approved for him to spend 25,000 on that oil truck, and he only spent 19,000.
Yeah.
So you could add this in there, and it'd still be
Okay.
fine.
So with that, I would, entertain a motion to the new 3-bag, bagger.
Well, he wants the dump bag.
He wants the dump bag, okay, so,
I'll
okay.
make a motion that we approve the purchase of, new bagger with hopper dump for the amount of $3,730.
Okay,
Second.
Goodness.
okay, have a motion and a second, with regard to the, purchase of a new bagger hopper dumper. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay. Building permits for the city addition to the warming house. Dustin, do you know anything about that? Ron's not here, so.
Dustin, you're it.
So I didn't sign that. When Ron was, speaking to me about that, he didn't really know exactly how it was gonna turn out. I mean, I do know, I believe the picture is backwards. To my understanding, it'll be where the old,
That's right.
lawnmower part was on the north side.
Oh, okay. I guess it's drawn correct.
Yeah, but anyways, and so I basically told him, I said, well, I just wanna make sure that we have some sort of building permit, so the city's following the rules that everybody else has to. And if we can sign it, if you guys are all right with it, that's fine, but we might need to do some more details to it later.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's in the realm, but he didn't really,
Do you know what size it's gonna be? But
he had it wrote there, was it 12 by 20 or something?
Yeah.
Oh, 12, okay, I got, all right, I didn't see that. All right,
But I don't know if him and Dan got together exactly how what they're gonna run into there.
all right. Okay, I'd entertain a motion if that council saw fit to, approve the building permit with the signing off of the other department heads who haven't done so yet.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Do we need to make sure, it seems like it's a little vague, and I don't know that we would approve that for anybody else, if it was that, if the permit was as vague as that one is.
Yeah.
I think we need to be a little cautious there.
As long as it stays within like the dimensions, I'm okay with that. But it's probably going to be a build to design, cause there's so many different variables on the side of that warming house.
Yeah, so I would think he would be within a foot or two of that. He just, I haven't went over there and looked at it with him, and I think it's one of them things where Dan was gonna work with him on that or something, so.
As long as it doesn't impede with that roadway that's
Right.
going around there, because that would be a major change.
Yes. Well, it looks like with the drawing, it's going to stay within the confines. Well, it's going to get close. Yeah,
And I don't know, maybe with the locate and stuff, maybe he's waiting for some of that too, to make sure, cause I think he's gonna do some poles or something in the ground maybe for this thing. So,
So is it something they're going to start on?
I was
Soon?
told maybe even this week, but I guess I haven't been around them I know they burned around the lagoon today, so. It's been pretty nice, so we've been working pretty hard on trying to get meters done, so we don't have to worry about snow, walk through snow, so.
but Will is right with regard to the concern. It tells just the basics with regard to the size and,
And
Yeah.
if that's the same standard we'd hold anybody else to, I'm fine with it, but it seems like a
When I
lot of them are
glanced
more
at today,
detailed
the
than
only
that.
thing I noticed is it's 180 degrees off as far as the directions.
I'm not even saying no to it, I think we need to be cautious about that, so it doesn't look like we just don't follow the rules and make everybody else follow the rules.
Need to practice what we preach.
Yeah. Okay,
On the other chance though, a lot of the other times we're also dealing with property lines that are getting awfully close or
Yeah.
variances of lines of property. I just don't see any of that where it's
Correct.
affecting it. That's why I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's not headed towards the right of way or
If it's-
anything like that. It's all headed towards park area, so.
no, but in fairness, it's still perception, and I think that's what, Will was, Councilman Jones is, kinda getting to, so, all right?
Yep.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, entertain vote is to approve the, building permit down at the city park in addition, to the warming house. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Ron, you're up.
Well, first of all, before I start in on this, I want everybody to understand that I'm not here asking for any favors or whatever. But I've got sewer problems, and they've been there for years. Nobody could tell me where my sewer goes. Now, I don't know what I'm supposed to do about this, but this is what I'm going to do. I've hired Olson's to come in and put me a clean out between my basement and the sewer. Because, could you bring that up on the screen there, that area where I live?
Which one is? Is this it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is?
I think so.
right there.
So your sewer goes this way?
Okay, now here's the problem. Let's see, this is going right here, right?
Right here.
Yeah.
Along about early 1950s, there was nothing from the from 7th Street north along that street that I live on. So they moved a house in up here, and this guy dug had to put his sewer in clear down here at the corner. Now, then there was another house moved in, and it was hooked up to it. Then there were 2 trailer houses in there one time, and they were hooked up to it. Now, nobody can tell me, this house up here on the corner, I'm sure, got hooked into this main sewer line. So I'm the only house along there, I'm sure I'm not hooked there. But that is the reason I'm putting this thing out there, so I can find out.
So will Olson be able to tell you?
What?
Will Olson be able to tell you,
Well, here's what I wanna know. I wanna know what's in the plans for phase 4.
well, we're still in the process of, getting that organized. We're not there yet. We're not even with the engineer yet, so.
Well,
but-
I was promised that this was in phase 3 would be fixed. And then nothing ever happened. Now, I think anybody that is hooked up to the sewer system or whatever should be able to come in here, and it should be the duty of the city to show me where the sewer is, not me to show the city where it is.
Well, you know probably as well as anybody.
What?
I said, you know as well as anybody, Ron, that, you know, in some cases, they ran those sewer lines and water lines right through a lot. I mean, they didn't even go down to the curb. I remember when Pete and Dave Ames lived down, where they did live, you know, down by the courthouse. When they built that basement, put that basement in, they ran into a sewer line. And we promised them that we would reroute that sewer line for them. So I think those who have been around recognize there are some issues. And I can't speak on behalf of the council, and I can't, you know, don't want to get too far ahead. But I think that is a matter that the council will seriously look at. You know, I'm not going to say we're going to promise, but I think that's one of the things that they're going to be looking at with regard to phase 4, is correcting those sewer lines. Am I correct? Well, we don't know yet because we don't have all the funding in and things of that.
Well,
so.
I think the problem, if I'm understanding Ron right, is, they don't know where the sewer line is, so how does he know where the problem is? That's why you're gonna have them dig,
Yeah.
correct? So do we have any responsibility as far as to see, has any of that been cameraed on that side ever?
But at the same time, we're only cameraing the mains. We're not cameraing individual people's lines either.
Right, but he doesn't know where his line goes to know.
I don't know enough about sewer, how they can tell how they do that if,
They'll camera it, I know that, but that's,
but an individual
yeah.
or a private company can camera it and tell it the direction it goes, or
And, yeah. Well, at least when Olson does do it,
Well-
I said when Olson does do that for you, you'll have a better understanding with regard to where it
Well,
runs.
my question is this: if I'm not hooked up to that sewer system, like everybody else got hooked up with, are you expecting me to spend the money that it costs to dig a hole out there 30 feet deep? 23 feet deep, to get to the sewer main,
that's what's
to
in
hook
the,
up to it?
that's what's in the policy, that the homeowner is responsible.
What?
If I remember correctly, the policy that was put in place years ago is it's the homeowner's responsibility to attach to the main.
Now, when Tony Rangel got into the same problem over there, before we started all this phase work, immediately he got a new sewer put in over there. And I'm not asking for anything special, because I'm gonna pay for this clean out and all this myself.
I think the whole matter will be addressed when we get to that point with regard.
What?
I think the whole matter with regard to what you're talking about, Ron, will be addressed when we get to that point of phase 4. You know,
But I've gotta get something to where I've got a sewer that works.
If I wanted to put a clean out in front of my house, I'd have to pay for it. I mean, if you're gonna add a clean out on your own property, that bill is gonna be on you every time. If there's an issue at the main, that's definitely a city problem, but
Yeah.
Pat is checking here, but I'm pretty sure that he's right, and that it's the homeowner's responsibility to get it out, away from their property.
My other house I lived in, I dug mine all the way to the main. But my main was in the right of way. I didn't have to go out and remove it at that point.
okay.
But Ron doesn't know where his main is I what he's saying?
Yeah, I wish I could say I've been here long enough. This is kind of a Terry, did they do new sewer down that street?
What's that?
Did they do new sewer down that street in front of your house?
Yeah, the main line that goes out to the lagoon runs by there. Everybody else is hooked there but me.
What year did they do that? Do you know?
What?
What year did they do that? What What year did that get?
Oh, in the sixties sometime.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, that wasn't in the
A while
recent
ago.
phases. Okay.
Okay, all right.
There's a mill.
It was done when the lagoons were built.
Okay.
And just because I haven't been around long enough to know,
Hmm?
I'm just asking just because I don't know anything about
I
the
can't
sewer yet.
hear that.
What tells you that that's not hooked into the main? Just because you're having issues,
What
or
tells me what?
that it's not hooked into the main?
Nothing tells me for
Okay,
sure.
okay. I'm
But
just
here's how I know this. That house up there was built there, or not built there, was moved in up there where Deb Willard lived.
Okay.
By Neil Herman, was killed in the Korean War. And she was living there in that house when he got killed.
Okay,
And
Ron, I'm gonna have to stop because I'm about 2 minutes past 7:30. We're gonna pick this up in a second,
Alright.
okay? At 7:30, we had a public hearing with regard to the retail on-off malt beverage license and retail on-off wine and cider license for Family Dollar Stores of South Dakota LLC. Is there anybody would like to speak on behalf of that? Hearing none, is anyone here to speak in opposition? Hearing neither, I would entertain a motion to either approve or reject the license requested,
I move
motion to
to
approve it.
approve. Oh, somebody else did.
I'll second.
okay?
Susan,
Sue and Will.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to, yeah, I'm gonna try. Approve the retail on-off malt beverage license and retail on-off wine cider license for Family Dollar Stores of South Dakota LLC in Miller. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose the same? Who oppose the same? None? Hearing none? Motion carries. Okay, Ron, you're back up. Any other, did you have another question with regard to that? Ron, we interrupted you. Do you have anything more to say with regard to that?
what's that?
I said, we interrupted you with that regard. Do you have any more to say with regard to the sewer line? You don't know where the sewer line goes to, is that right?
I don't know for sure, but I think I do. Now, the reason I know this, I'll tell you how I know it.
Okay,
My folks lived in a trailer house there, and they put the sewer line in from their trailer house out south of me, between there and where the greenhouse sits.
okay,
And then there was another trailer house out there, right south of where my garage sits. Now, the sewer that went to that trailer house, sat there by my garage, is still open. It's right at the southwest corner of the garage. And they went out there to that line that went south, and the reason I think it's there is, when we go to open it with a sewer jet, we can go out there so far, but we can't get anywhere near the one out in the middle of the street.
okay, all right. Okay,
regardless of how this specific address this is information that is gonna go towards our decision on anything
Yeah.
we do with phase 4.
yeah,
Cause just because the first 3 phases were done, there's still a lot of people affected by phase 4.
yeah.
That being said, correct me if I'm looking wrong, but I'm in sanitary and building sewers and connections. I'm in the right area, I'm assuming. Okay. Okay. Costs and expenses responsibility. All costs and expenses incidental to the installation and connection of the building sewer shall be borne by the owner. Installation and connection fees are as provided in the city fee schedule. The owner shall indemnify the city from any loss or damage that may directly or indirectly be occasioned by the installation of the building sewer.
Okay,
So,
Pretty clearly, it states that it's the homeowner's responsibility to get it to the main.
right. That being said, if phase 4 were to be approved, when that sewer goes through, Mr. Blatchford would have the same option that anybody else has had to get a new clean out or a new stub in to the edge of his property, which would be the, between the street and sidewalk.
Right away.
Right away Boulevard. At that time would be a time where his sewer would be able to be upgraded to where it needs to be,
Okay,
the way I understand it.
that's to my recollection too.
Okay, now what does that say?
It says, all costs and expenses incidental to the installation and connection of the building sewer shall be borne by the owner. Installation and connection fees are as provided in the city fee schedule. The owner shall indemnify the city from any loss or damage that may directly or indirectly be occasioned by the installation of the building sewer. But I also said that your case needs to be taken into account when we're deciding on phase 4, because without doing phase 4, people are still being affected by faulty sewer.
Yeah,
So that's the 2 points I made, that yes, the private sewer, according to this, is the homeowner's responsibility, but we're also having issues with the main sewer, the way the lines are run in the past. So we have to take that into account when we're talking about phase 4, is what I said.
if they would just tell me where that sewer went, and it's not all that difficult to tell where that goes. All it takes is just to pour some dye on and flush the toilet and see if it comes out there, where it comes out.
Well, and once you have a clean out,
What?
once you put a clean out in your yard, I wanna say you can dang near get something,
You want a wood?
when you're getting a clean out installed outside your house.
Tomorrow.
And once that gets done, then the ability to actually find where that goes is
Well,
possible.
I hope so.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say you can dang near get a fish tape, push through it, and you can locate that.
That's what, yes, I got, carry a stainless steel fish tape.
Okay, so once that clean out gets installed, give either Terry or Dustin a call, and maybe we can get something where we can find some answers that don't cost any money. By pushing a steel rod through
Well, they're
the
gonna-
line.
I'm gonna have it sewer jetted when I
Okay.
get the clean out in and see why we can't get clear out to the, if it goes clear out the street, we ought to get to the big sewer main out there.
Right.
Have
Yep.
they been
If
there
we
to
can't,
see
there's
where it's
gotta
at
be
at all?
something wrong.
To see if they could find it?
I think they're
Okay.
going there
Well,
tomorrow.
Because that old sewer has been in there for 70 years.
yeah. We'll be in contact with you to see if we can get some answers.
Hmm?
We'll be in contact with you to see if we can get some answers.
All right,
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you, Ron.
Stuff in there
Yeah,
for 70 years.
yep.
Okay. Thank you.
anybody got any other questions?
Not right now.
Not this time, but if we do, we got your number.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
for your time.
Thanks, Ron.
Next thing on the agenda, new business, is the NECOG joint agreement, and that's found on pages 8 through 10. Looking through it, I don't think the agreement has changed,
I don't think it's changed since I've started.
no.
Yeah, about the same.
It looks about,
And I think they do help us a lot with everything, so,
We would be lost without them with
Yeah.
all of these projects going on.
yeah. I make a motion to approve the agreement.
okay. Have a motion to approve the agreement with NECOG. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Motion on table to enter into a joint cooperative agreement with Northeast Council of Government. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carries. I will say this, not only do they do the work that they do and get the information that needs to be gathered, but they stay on top of it to try to get things pushed through on a timely manner that it has, so it is good. Fuel bids. This next thing, the fuel bid, this comes from Actegra. Our fuel bid is for fuel pulled from our station in Miller, South Dakota from January 2004 to December 31st, 2004 will be whatever out-of-station price it is the day it is lifted. In addition, you'll receive a federal tax credit off the price.
So it's posted price, no tax.
Okay?
This is last night's posted price.
How much of that is tax?
The fuel tax depends on whether it's diesel or unleaded, it's all over the board, so. But they know that process, Cindy knows that process, so it's the same no matter where we go for the fuel tax. Except for that was one thing that Kessler's couldn't get figured out.
Shocker.
It was a mess, so.
Okay?
So this would be what would be locked in for the whole year?
No,
Whatever the price is that day, less the fuel,
That's a
less.
And that,
tax.
Yeah, and how often do you see the price different at AgTag, or do you do that very often? I mean, I don't shop.
Whenever I've seen it, it's been lower than in town. I mean, 90% of the time, I'll check there first.
you're right there too.
Yeah.
Okay?
And that's the big thing we're talking is the next slide
Whoops, this way, back.
is there's a 10-cent difference.
Yeah.
So that's what the biggest question I had, is that pretty standard where there's a 10-cent difference?
It's pretty standard that they're lower. I don't know if it's always the 10 cents, but their standard is lower
The
than the
reason I
others.
say that is the
Well, I
next
thought theirs
bid
was 6.
is,
6 cents off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
Which doesn't even get to their standard price without losing the tax.
right, yep. I was just making sure that
That's why I questioned what the tax was.
And the tax is the same for both, I mean, they will both take care of it.
They both take the fuel tax off, yeah.
Okay.
So the only thing I will say with this is nobody's at that stage. Whereas when we fill up a Cowboy, we go in, we sign the department, name and what department it is. So whoever we use, we'll have to probably use a card.
AgTagger will give each of you guys a card, and it'll have a number, and your card will be, anytime you swipe it, we would know it was your card.
For each vehicle or just the department?
Each person, so you would have one, Devin would have one, Logan would have one, each person would have a card.
if they're not giving a discount and making you lock in a price, does it really matter which one you go to? Are we really getting into an agreement with them to agree to pay what the price says on the
The
sign?
biggest thing is the fuel tax, doing that extra step to give us the fuel tax.
But they're both doing that though, aren't they?
They will, well, Cowboy will continue, they have done that in the past. They
And-
did that the last time they had AgTagger, Cowboy continued.
Yeah, before further discussion, the other, bid we had is from the Cowboy Store. Thank you for consideration, Cowboy Country Store, fuel bid for 2024 will be, will offer a discount of 6 cents per gallon on gas and diesel. Monthly statements will reflect 6 cents a gallon plus the federal fuel tax credit.
are we,
Get closer to
What-
that.
are we allowed to look at other things other than what's on the piece of paper? As far as, I'm not trying to throw shade at either company or anything like that, but I see AgTagger's name on a lot of donations to town, or small profits in town and non-for-profits in town. Can that influence our decision-making at all, or is that not appropriate?
I think we want to stay within the confines. We appreciate anything any business does for our community, whether or not it be the Agtegra or the Cowboy. But I think for the sake of accepting a bid, we need to take the face value of that bid.
And that's just the worst part, is it's not
It's not really a bid,
It's
they're
not
just saying.
bid for bid.
Well,
Pay
Yeah,
what
and I think that's where the discussion, comes in.
so,
Because
it's not like you're accepting a bid, I mean, it's the same price that everybody
Everybody.
else is gonna pay.
so face value of it then, Agtegra is 9 out of 10 times less expensive by a dime, or approximately a dime, than the other establishments.
But there's no guarantee of that because we don't have any kind of a contract, right? It's
Right.
whatever their
Their posted prices,
posted price is
which as you saw, their posted price is $2.99 and the other ones are $3.09,
today. And that
which
it
is
goes.
pretty standard.
And I think that's another thing. It's not set in stone with regard to it, but the practice has been to be about 10 cents cheaper.
Right.
Am I correct? I mean,
Didn't you just say they said they take 6% off on the cowboy also?
6 cents per
6
gallon,
cents.
which gets it closer to Agtegra's
That's all.
normal standard price.
I'll make a motion, we buy fuel from Agtegra.
Okay,
I'll second.
discussion. Hearing none, the motion has been made to accept the bid from Actegra. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay, I really appreciated the personnel meeting that we had the other day. I think it's beneficial for just the workers and the committee to get together and just have that opportunity to just sit down and kind of go through a few things. And so with that, there were a couple of policy manual changes. Both of them we discussed at the last meeting. The first one deals with inclement weather, and that's on page 11. I'll try to get back up to. Okay, I think there was a proposal or just an idea of what we wanted to have, but with further discussion, we kind of wanted to keep it, not that we don't want to get the input of the Han County Emergency Manager, and I really appreciate Arlen being here and giving us his insight with regard to the decisions made that he has to make in this time. But we're looking at the new wording of the inclement weather. All closures proclaimed as weather-related or acts of gods are deemed necessary by the mayor upon recommendation from the police officer on duty, Han County Emergency Manager, and acting street department head will be paid as standard work days. No overtime will be paid to employees who are required to work unless the employees work over the number of hours in the standard work day, 12 hours for the police officers. If an employee cannot make it to work due to the inclement weather and closure is not proclaimed by the mayor, sick leave may be used upon department head approval. Employees designed as essential, such as the street department, police department, will work a standard workday if possible. I'm going to emphasize if possible. Employees not scheduled will not receive any pay for such proclaimed closures. Notice of police closures will be posted on Clothesline, Kelloland, KABY, and social media. So that is the, and the original one is just above that. So basically it centers around who can close City Hall with inclement weather, and also the input of those individuals with regard to that decision. And that's something, if you want to take time to look through it again, and I know you've had time since you got the agenda or got it, received it, we can, move it to next meeting if you'd like to, or.
I'm a little surprised that we pay for that snow day.
Yeah.
I see that's in both of them, the original one as well, but that's a little surprising to me.
That, when we had that discussion, I did bring up that I had called other cities last year on behalf of what do they do before the first one came. This one actually says, and if everybody else understood it that way, I'm good with it, whatever, but, it was actually if the governor closed the state. They don't get paid like state employees do, but if they wanted to use PTO or sick leave, like in Redfield, for instance, was one of them, they could do that. So,
That's how it was supposed to read.
well, that's what I thought I was saying, but I talked to Susan then after, and, so I don't know if it needs to be discussed more, or if everybody's had a chance to look at it and you're ready to go with it, that's up to you, but.
Yeah.
You know, that aspect of what you're talking about has, you know, was in the, you know, policy prior to,
Yeah, I see that.
yeah.
I'm just noting that I was surprised to see that.
I've worked several jobs where it helps that it also, you make every effort to get to work, but if it's just physically not possible, then I was paid to not come in. And I thought that, I enjoyed that from an employer standpoint. I understand we got to think about cost of things, but
Every job I've ever had, if it was a snow day, I didn't get paid, I could use PTO or sick time. That's every job I've ever had.
okay.
I've never once been paid for it. Just me,
And
my experience.
I'm just going off of personal experience.
Yeah, that's
all I
the
know.
same as I.
Excuse me.
What I've noticed, and the way I understand it, the county does get paid. I don't know if the state does.
The state does, that's where a
The
lot of
county,
these rules and regulations.
The county, I think, I was told they got like 14 days or something last year paid. I mean, they were closed a lot when they were not. So. And that's, don't quote me, but that's, I believe that's what I had heard.
We have 12 listed on the next page.
He's
No, I
talking,
mean,
he's
they
talking
were
about.
Snow days.
Snow days.
Occasional snow
These
days.
are only snow days
Gotcha.
that they didn't have to work and they got paid for.
12, 14?
I believe so, something like that, I was told.
It was a lot.
Nothing says you can't put a limit in there.
Well, and that's only if the mayor deems us closed anyway, right?
No, or emergency management.
No, by
No.
recommendation.
By recommendation.
Yeah, by recommendation.
Cause that was what talked about it, but then in the, committee meeting,
It was determined that the mayor with the recommendations of these other would.
that's still the person to do it, but it's just listing that, hey, we might get recommendation by people other than just the mayor.
Well, with that said, and I think you guys know me well enough, if I'm gonna err, it's gonna be I'm gonna err on caution. I guess that's, being an educator at this school for as long as I have, not only here but elsewhere, if that road is unsafe to travel, I know we're talking about two different things, we're talking about kids coming in from a distance, but, anyway, that's,
The other issue with that is that a majority of the employees are gonna get called in to come move snow anyway in these circumstances.
But they won't have to be here until the snow clears so that they can get out to move snow. I mean, otherwise,
Yeah.
we have to be here at 8 o'clock, they're gonna be sitting there twiddling their thumbs as blizzarding, and then they're gonna end up in overtime. And then like Ron mentioned, from the time he checks in at 8 o'clock, if he has to quit 16 hours
yeah,
later.
and seeing that's, yeah,
And so if he cannot come in until the snow starts to slow down a little bit, and as long as his trucks are ready to go, then he can move snow for 16 hours.
That seems like almost two different issues.
In a way, I do like what Tammy's trying to do with the sick leave though. It gives the people that cannot get here, cause there was a lot of times we were open and there's employees that could not make it here.
Yeah, Cindy
They
used a lot
burned
of
up a lot
vacation
of,
last year.
Yeah, vacation or PTO, and I think if you have more sick time, if you could use that, that would help. That scenario or whatever, but.
I don't think the issue, I think if it goes to where you have to use paid time off, it's you open it up where they can use paid time off or sick leave. I don't think anybody really cares.
Yeah.
I don't wanna speak for anybody.
Or if
Right.
you choose to not and just not be paid and save your sick days, I'm fine with that as well.
We'd have to make that change too, because
Yeah.
it says in the policy, another place, that you cannot have unpaid leave without prior council approval.
Yeah.
Well, we are reworking in inclement weather, you could make that a clause in there
Yeah.
that, if we chose to do that.
It's an
But in my
exception.
experience, that might cause an issue with benefits then, if you take
Yep, I was just gonna
unpaid,
say,
you're
if I
gonna
have a
end up under
72-hour
80
pay
hours.
period, I don't qualify for benefits. If I take an unpaid pay, I'd have to pay for that, my benefits for that day.
But isn't that averaged over like 12 weeks,
The way our policy is written,
the full-time deal?
the way our policy is written, you have to work 80 hours of pay period in order to qualify for benefits.
And if you don't qualify, what is the,
Then you have to pay for it. I'd have to pay for it.
You wouldn't have to if you take sick leave or,
It's, I know, if I take
PTO.
sick or PTO.
So they're-
Yeah, but if I did unpaid. That would be downtime.
yeah.
But if you're allowed to use sick time, everybody has enough of a sick balance to be able to use sick time if they have to, but like Cindy burned through a lot of vacation, and she tried to come most of those days, but she burned through a lot of vacation.
And I think some of that was the schools were closed too,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
so.
but yeah, she tried to get here a couple times and turned around and went back. If daycare is closed, she's staying.
And then does that become an issue with other employees that live in town that always have to come?
They're
Like if
saving their
there's-
vacation, saving their PTO.
Yeah,
Like just when I was at Kessler's, I was the manager there. And if it was a sick day or a bad day, I would pick 2, 3, 4 employees up that I'd call everybody who wanted to come in.
Yeah.
I'd go pick them up. We went to the store. That's what we did.
No, that's what happened at Mid Dakota too. If you couldn't get in, one of the guys come out and pick you up.
Absolutely.
Or I'd have Dale drive me to the office before he took off out to the farm. Cause he never stayed home.
Dale.
I'm not real in favor of the way it's worded at the moment, but.
And
Okay.
actually, we
I'd be fine
can table
changing
it.
Or tabling it, or,
Okay,
we can
we can do
table
that. We'll just, cause I think that's probably the best thing to do.
Table it?
Motion to table.
We need a motion to table that one.
I'll make a motion to table it.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor to table the inclement weather policy, say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Now, the second one was, and this was the, at the request of the employees to, instead of taking Friday after Thanksgiving off, is to take Juneteenth off. And then if they wanted to take that Friday off, then they could take, you know, either vacation.
Vacation or, yeah, vacation.
But that had to be into the department heads. I wanna go back to the inclement weather. One of the things we wanna make sure, and if I make that decision, and it has to be done early, I will make it early to keep people from, number one, Dustin's gonna clean, they're gonna clean the, all the sidewalks off here. I mean, that's gonna be the first thing if it's open. Second of all, there's gonna be people probably dropping stuff off or thinking that the city hall is going to be open, and I do not want anybody to, you know, if they come instead of calling to see if it's open, I just don't want anybody here assuming something, they're open, we're open when it's not, to prevent any mishaps, you know, or anything of that sort, so.
And there's people that'll do that anyway, no
Oh, gosh,
matter
yes.
if it's closed.
I know, so anyway, so the other one is, we're on right now is the changing the policy to, allow Juneteenth to be off and, reinstate, Good Friday to be a workday.
Just switching.
Just switching days,
Yeah.
this ain't gonna still.
Not adding, they
we're
had to
not
give
adding
up
a
one
day.
to get
No,
another.
Yeah.
No,
If that's what we're doing, I'd make a motion to approve that.
okay,
Second.
discussion. Okay, the motion is second have been made to, with regard to holidays, to incorporate Juneteenth and to omit Friday after Thanksgiving for the days off. All in favor say aye.
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 Oppose the same.
I told
Okay.
you.
Okay, Dale proposed. You said you were gonna, you might do that.
He did say that.
Okay. On page 13 and 14, you see the Helms and Associate Agreement. This is the document with regard, I say 13 and 14, right?
Yep.
This is more or less an agreement. I'll just,
And this is just a tiny portion, there's actually, I think, 2 sections with like 26 pages, so it's quite thick. So if you wanna read the whole thing, you can come in.
I don't think so.
But then this price listed would be the, is it 10%?
That's the total cost of this project. Right, let me see.
for the record of the public, when it talks about the task item, it says environmental review, field survey, engineer's design report, primary and final design. It says the total cost and compensation is $84,960.27, of which the city pays 5%.
Okay, so this isn't our 5%, we pay 5% of this number.
Yes.
Okay.
So we would pay about $4,200.
Okay, I make a motion that we sign the Helms and Associate Agreement for the environmental review, field survey, engineer's design report, preliminary and final design.
I'll
Okay.
second.
All in, have a motion on the table to accept the Helms and Associate Agreement. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay, on page 8, you see the G-Works upgrade to the cloud, and I'm gonna let Shayla explain that, and I, appreciate all the legwork she's done and correspondence with regard to this. So that's found on page 13 and 14.
15 through 18.
15 through 18, thank you. I just said.
15 through 18, what else do we have here? Oh, this is, they have been pushing us to go to the cloud for about 2 years now.
Who is they?
They is our software. G-Works does all of our software, our accounts payable, payroll, utility billing, they do everything for us. They've been working closely with Dustin and Christie on the meter changeovers to get all of that in. We have already paid $10,400 for our 2024 annual renewal, so we'd only have to pay the difference of, what, $4,400 or something like that to upgrade to the cloud. Now, upgrading to the cloud, everything will be, there won't be, the security will be all on them. 100% security as far as somebody taking social security number, somebody taking banking amount information, because we have everybody doing front desk and their banking information is in there or whatever. That's putting it all onto their shoulders as far as security, so if we got compromised, they can't get into it as well. They use the AWS or the Amazon cloud, which is supposedly like the best in the world for security. It will change, we will have to relearn how to do everything that we do, but it'll be a lot more efficient. They did give us a overview of utility billing part of it a couple weeks ago, and then just a couple days ago, we did the rest of it. They do have a slideshow here. This is what they give to their newer customers. When we signed up with G-Works, or it was Data Tech back then, we were the second city in South Dakota. They had 100% of the cities in Iowa at the time. And now they're spread Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri. They're very well spread out. This one they did for us. We would do all of our fund accounting, like I said, everything that we do today would be done on this. They do have another app that they really encouraged us to get, which would be really nice. It would be a case where if somebody has front desk, they could go in and they could say, there's a pothole here on the corner of the street, take a picture of it, send it to us, and we could do a work order, send it off to the street department. Or there's a street light out, we can get that to Dustin. They could just do it online through this front desk. And that is not something that's part of this package, because I said, well, that's a want, not a need right now. What we currently have will be phased out in the next year to 2 years. So this, we will have to eventually go to this. This is just kind of their sales technique, they give this, overview to anybody new coming in. They have come here a couple times. I am in one of these pictures, they're in one of these pictures. The one before this, they actually did a caricature one, and they had Cindy and I the same height, so I was pretty excited when I saw that one. Said, I really like it, especially the fact that Cindy and I were the same height, and he's like, when he met me for the first time, he's like, oh, you are kind of short, and I said, yeah, and Cindy's kind of tall, but. So this costs $15,000 a year. Right now we're paying $10,000 and 4 or 6. I don't remember exactly. They are waiving. Typically, they would charge us for every single, like for the utility billing, they would charge us to take all of our data from the old system and put it on the new system. All of our general ledger stuff, all of our bank recs, all of our prior account information, they would charge us for each one of those hubs to take our old information and put it on the new. It's called an onboarding. With a lot of talk and begging, they have waived 100% of those fees for us because we have been a customer. They do rely on us a lot. Sometimes you'll go through training and you'll see that it's our information they're using because they trust us and what we do here. But with a lot of talking, they have agreed that if we will sign up by the end of this year, they will waive 100% of those fees, which is about $20,000 to do the onboarding, to get this new system up and running. We kind of wanted to wait a while, but it's kind of hard to pass up $20,000.
And you said our stuff is gonna be phased out in the next year or so?
We will have to go here eventually.
I say we save the
We just kind of
20,000
wanted
now.
somebody else to be their guinea pigs instead of us, but they do have a few cities that have been on all of this for the last 6 months, so
So they pretty much do all your billing and everything,
we do it all. I mean,
it's in that program, though,
everything
it's all.
that the finance office does is in this program.
That's why we do it anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is the only program that we use. It will put there won't be timesheets, the guys would sign in on their phones or on the computer. They would go to the department heads to approve, they would have to pre-request like vacation days and whatnot to have that into the system. And then Dustin would have to approve it before Cindy can approve payroll. But if he's not here on that day, he could approve it from his home too. I mean, he could, so. Because everything's cloud-based. On a snow day, if I had to, I could work from home because everything would be cloud-based.
Any questions for Shayla? I'm gonna read this, what the letter and then the information that Shayla presented. Attached is the council presentation that I made for you. Okay, she indicated Shayla's one. For pricing, an annual total right now is $15,000. If you sign after December 31st, there will be 10% raise in price, bringing it to $16,500. I also waived about $20,000 in a one-time fee for you to be an early adopter and for being a loyal customer. I also extended the ordering document to the end of this month. So
I make a motion that we, sign up for the G-Works agreement.
I'll second that.
okay, discussion. Hearing none, motion is made to enter into a contract with G-Works to upgrade to the cloud. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same. Motion carries. New Christmas lights. Shirley, you can go ahead and explain that to economic development. Indicated the other day that when they were one of the last meetings, they indicated that they would it's one of the things that they would help with regard to it, so.
They sent us a check for $1,400 and some dollars to help cover what we were short in our promotion of the city. So they covered all that we were short, which was about $1,400. So that was very nice for those 4 lights on Main Street, the 4 new ones, so.
Okay.
Very much appreciated. I told Tara to thank the board also for the city, because we really appreciated that help with those lights, so.
Good deal.
Would it be beneficial if we also sent them a card of appreciation, or,
If you want to, I
Yeah.
probably have one.
yeah, and
You can come in and sign
I
it.
can come in and sign it, okay? On behalf of the council, all right? Next thing on the agenda is resolution, number 20, that's on page, what page is this?
19.
19. Resolution 2023-10, whereas insufficient appropriation was made in the 2023 adopted budget for the following departments, discharge just obligations of said appropriation as whereas South Dakota Codified Law 921-6.1 provides transfer to be made by resolution of the board from the contingency appropriations established pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 9-21-6.1 to other appropriations. Therefore, be it resolved that the following appropriations be transferred from the contingency budget to the department budget. It said, first of all, 41,402, other professional fees, $2,200, that's for finance and software upgrade. 42,101 for healthcare insurance for the police for $2,400. And also 46,503 for supplies for $1,410 for Christmas lights.
I move to approve resolution number 2023-10.
There's a second?
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, the motion is made and second to approve resolution number 2023-10. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Can we approve the bills before we go into executive
Yes,
session?
yes,
Or-
we
And
Did
then
you wanna
talk
do the
about the
meeting
meeting
date?
too, the meeting change.
Yeah, I made that.
Yes,
Oh, yes, we got the meeting changes.
okay.
I move we approve the bills.
I'll second.
Any discussion? I have one. And maybe I've missed this before, but it says, where is it? It's not, it's just more of a clarification. First Bank and Trust Power, 5,658, what's that?
No, yes, where's that one at?
First Bank and Trust, right under Han County ROD.
Okay.
It says power.
First Bank and Trust for our bond for $412,000?
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah, that's our loan payment.
Okay, something very good, I read it, that's, okay, all right. Okay,
That's a semi-annual.
semi-annual, okay, that's why I may not have seen it before.
You saw it back in June.
All right, okay, all right, okay. Did we have a motion to approve the bills?
Yes.
Do I have a
Yeah.
second?
Yep.
Yeah, wait a
Okay,
second.
discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed the same, motion carries.
Oh, and then we have the meeting
Yeah,
that we
meeting.
added.
Yeah,
The next day good?
It's
Tuesday?
good for us, it should
Tuesday.
be, unless we get snowed in
It's everybody else's.
Just do the next day.
or snowed out.
okay, the
Make a motion
Tuesday,
that we change to Tuesday of that week.
Tuesday, the 19th?
Yep.
okay. And that was more or less for concern for, make sure we have a quorum at least purposes, because 2 of the council members will be out of town at that date. So, we have motion and a second with regard to changing the next meeting to December 19th. That's the regular time at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed the same. Motion carries. Okay, entertain a motion to go into executive session
I'll make that motion.
pursuant, okay.
Second.
Second, discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're going into executive session. I need to
Yeah.
get the restroom real quick. though.
Waved at his back.
Saw Tammy's name there.
17, 817.
Yeah, that's what I wrote is 817.
Cardboard box. Strap to the side of it.